I'm reminded that it's 60 years since, as a young amateur, I had the privilege of training with a guy who is regarded by many pundits and boxing historians and experts as the greatest pound-for-pound fighter of all time. He was certainly my greatest and my favourite. I'm referring to the great Sugar Ray Robinson. And what happened was, at that time in the 1960s, I was a sparring partner for Walter McGowan. Walter won the world flyweight title in 1965 when he beat the Italian Salvatore Barluni in London. Walter was a remarkable fighter, great balance, great style, a decent punch, but his big problem was that he cut too easily. Still, for all that, he had 32 contests and lost 7. And one day I was training with McGowan, and he was due to box on the Thursday the following week in Paisley, in the ice rink in Paisley, which was an arena that held 5,000 people. Paisley is a town right next door to Glasgow. And I was told by his father after the training session, he said, by the way, when you come on Sunday, don't come to the gym. He said, come to St. Cuthbert's Church Hall, which was in Hamilton, McGowan's hometown. And I said, why? And he said, just never mind, just do it and come down. So I was happy to comply. Down I went, and I saw the church hall had all been decked out as a proper gym, full-size ring, punch bags, speed balls, all the stuff that you needed for a proper training session. And I went into the gym there. Now, by the way, there was probably about 100 people sitting round the perimeter of the church hall. So I had an atmosphere, and I thought, oh, well, this is fine. They've come to see McGowan doing his sparring for the last kind of sparring session before the fight on Thursday. But in fact, when I was in the changing room and I was putting on my wraps, the door to my left opened, and I turned and looked, and I thought I was seeing a mirage or a ghost or something. And it was Sugar Ray Robinson. And I couldn't believe it. And then it twigged, of course, Robinson was topping the bill at Paisley Ice Rink on the Thursday against Mick Leahy. A good, straightforward, honest-to-goodness middleweight, British middleweight. And I thought, that's why we're here. Robinson was in his mid-40s at the time, probably 43, around about that age. And he came up to me, and he shook my hand, put his arm around my shoulder and said, I'm Ray Robinson, as if he needed to introduce himself. And who are you? What do you weigh? How many contests have you had? And I told him a little bit about my amateur career at that time. I was 18 years of age, and I was kind of gobsmacked. I was awestruck by this fantastic athlete in front of me. But you know what made it better? We went into the gym, as it was, in the hall, and I'm punching a bag, and right next to me on the punch bag next door was Sugar Ray. And I could hardly, of course, concentrate on what I was doing because I just wanted to stand and watch him. And he was great. And in between rounds, we'd have a chit-chat and all that stuff. And before he went and sparred with a guy called Milo Cahoon, who travelled all around Europe with him as his sparring partner, and I did the same with Walter McGowan. That was a wonderful, wonderful day that was. And of course, what you've got to remember is that Robinson fought through all the ages, different generations from welterweight. He was a world champion at welterweight. He was 5 times the middleweight champion. And he's boxing guys throughout his career, 201 fights. Guys like Henry Armstrong, Rocky Graziano, Fritzy Zivik, Gene Fullmer, Carmen Basilio, great fighters of the time. He even fought for the light heavyweight title and would have won it. He was winning by a mile against Joey Maxim in New York, but it was the hottest night of the year and the exhaustion took over. And at the end of the 13th round, Robinson had to quit through exhaustion on his stool. So that was a great Sugar Ray. That night in Paisley, he lost on points to Leahy, but then he was beginning to lose. Too many contests against inferior opponents because of his age, And because he was boxing on simply to earn money to pay his tax bill in the United States, do you know what? At one point he was boxing in Europe virtually every single week to pay off those taxes. Still, what we do remember of him was that he was a supreme boxer. And rightly, in my view, and we all have different views on who our greatest of all time is, but in my view, he had no peers. He was by far the best pound for pound fighter, certainly, that I've ever come across. So thanks for watching, and if you like what you're hearing from me, I'd love you to subscribe and like and perhaps share as well. Good to speak to you.